Hey everyone, so it's Hearth and welcome back to my channel. On today's video, we're talking about the witchcraft, pagan and occult book releases for December 2024. Now, I love witchcraft books. I have a lot of them. This is only one bookcase. My to-be-read pile is absolutely huge, like probably a little too huge, and I know that many of you really enjoy these books as well. So today, I'm so excited. There are so many good books that are coming out in December, and let's go through as many of them as I could find. Now, forewarning, this video is probably going to be quite long. My Word document is currently 39 A4 pages long. There's a lot of books, so feel free to grab a snack, grab a drink, grab a blanket, cuddle up on the sofa. If it were me, I would be using my new Christmas tree mug. Yes, I do have a Christmas tree mug. I am that person. And I will always have hot chocolate, usually hot chocolate with vanilla syrup with cream on top. I would love to know in the comment section what your go-to favorite drink is. It doesn't have to be hot chocolate, it can be whatever. I would love to know because I want to try different things and I'm curious to see what some of my subscribers' favorite drinks are, so do let me know. But with that being said, let's get into some book releases. Now, I used to include the astrology in these videos, but not anymore. So if you do want to know what astrological events are happening in December, I will leave it linked up here as well as in the description box. And we're just going to be going through this chronologically as we work through the month. I'm primarily going to be focusing on UK and USA releases, but if you are in a different country, you can put in the name of the book, the country where you live, and then release date into, say, Google or another search engine, and it should tell you when that book is releasing in your area. If in doubt, if you are an ebook reader, whenever the book is releasing in America is typically when the digital version of the book is available. So that's a good gauge if you are a digital reader. And of course, because these books are all, for the most part, newly published, I've not read any of these books. They might be absolutely awful for all I know, I'm not sure, but we're going to check them out and figure it out together. So up first, we have a book that I think is going to be very, very interesting to a lot of people, especially if you were on my last live stream and you were asking about Hedge Witchcraft. This is Hedge Witch and the Art of Hedge Riding by Rachel Patterson. Now, Rachel Patterson is a prolific author. I don't love all of her work, but I also don't dislike it either. A lot of it is just sort of kind of passed me by. It's just kind of there. But this one looks so interesting to me. So the information on this one goes as follows. In this exploration of hedge witchery, Rachel gives us a deep dive into the details, magic, and benefits of hedge riding. Emphasis on hedge riding, which a lot of books on hedge witchcraft seem to completely miss, from years of experience. The practical nature of this book and Rachel's expert knowledge of herbs, candles, and much more provides a solid foundation in this vital and underused process of travelling to realms and worlds outside our own. With her down-to-earth advice, examples, and guidance, Hedge Witch will prove to be a valuable resource you will want to dip into for years to come. I'm definitely going to end up getting this, definitely. There are so few books that I will want to recommend on hedge witchcraft, and there are books in my collection that aren't really about hedge witchcraft, and it's all just a bit of a mess. So the fact that this one is primarily focusing on hedge riding is so significant to me. This one is going to be coming out on December 1st in both the UK and USA. So yeah, this one's definitely on my to-be-read pile, and we're off to a really, really strong start. We then have some books that I spoke about last month, and that's because they were already released in the UK, now they're coming out in America. So we have Pagan Portal's Maman Brigette, Dark Goddess of Africa and Ireland by Pauline Breen. We then have Pagan Portal's Cerridwen, Keeper of the Cauldrons by Danu Forrest. And we also have a book whose name I can never ever get right. I had a lot of comments on my last video saying how to pronounce it. Then I went and heard the name be said in Greek, and it sounds completely different to those pronunciations, so I'm not sure how to pronounce it. This is Pagan Portal's Circe, was how everyone told me to say it last time. Not sure if that's right, but this is Pagan Portal Circe, Goddess of Sorcery by Irisana Moon. I really, really hope I've pronounced that correctly. These are all previously published in the UK. They came out last month, but in America they're releasing on the 1st of December. Now, I'm not going super in-depth into the information on these because they're pretty self-explanatory. Each book is about a set goddess in the title, and I will warn you that Pagan Portal books are traditionally incredibly small. They are about that thick. Can you see between my fingers there? They're not very big at all, and they're quite expensive for the cost. So I always pre-warn people. They can be incredibly useful books, but be prepared of what you're going to get when you purchase, because the first time I bought a Pagan Portals book at the very start of my practice, I was so upset. I was just starting to use online retailers. I'd never really used eBay before, or Amazon. These were very, very new to me and my world, and they arrived and they were tiny, and I was so upset because I'd saved money to be able to get them. And so just forewarning, useful books, quite small. Did I tell you that they're coming out on the 1st of December? If I didn't, they're coming out on the 1st of December in the US. Okay. The next book, however, is one that I'm very, very excited about. This is what I mean when I think that December is a really good month for book releases this time. There's a lot of interesting things coming out. This one, though, is primarily going to be beneficial for my history-loving witches and perhaps not my practical-loving witches, but we'll see. This is Possessed by the Devil, The History of the Island McGee Witch Trials of 1711. This is by Dr. Andrew Snedden, and it looks fascinating. I love this kind of thing. So if you like the works of Ronald Hutton, I suspect you're probably gonna like this as well. At least that's why I'm leaning towards it. But if you find the kind of history-based books to be just a little bit too dense for you, perhaps even a little bit boring, this one may well be kind of the same. So the information on this one goes as follows. County Antrim, Ireland, 1711. 8 women were put on trial accused of bewitching and demonically possessing young Mary Dunbar amid an attack by evil spirits on the local community and after the supernatural murder of a clergyman's wife. Mary Dunbar was the star witness in this trial, and the women were, by the standards of the time, believable witches. They dabbled in magic, they smoked, they drank, they had disabilities. A second trial targeted a final male witch and head of the Cellar witch family. With echoes of the Salem witch hunt, this is a story of murder, of a community in crisis, and how the witch hunts that claimed over 50,000 lives in Europe played out on Irish shores. It plunges the reader into a world where magic was real and the power of the devil felt, with dangerous consequences. This is coming out on the 2nd of December in the UK and August 2025 for America. So I'm really sorry you're going to have to wait so long for this. I will double, triple check that that's right, but I think it's coming out in August 2025 in the USA. So what might happen though is I'm going to get this because this looks fascinating to me, and I'm going to read this and I might be able to tell you whether I think it's worth you getting by the time August comes around. But yeah, this one looks particularly fascinating to me. Next up, we have another book by Frate Barbarus. If you've been here for a few months and you've watched several of these videos, you'll know that a lot of his works are being republished, primarily through Crossed Crow Books, which is something that we are seeing repeatedly happening. So if you have already got this book in another version, it might not be worth you getting it again, but do double check to see if there's any updates. This is Liber Nephilim, a grimoire of fallen angels by Frate Barbarus. The wisdom of the Nephilim, those who have been exiled by God and who taught ancient man the ways of civilization, awaits you within the pages of Frate Barbarus's guidebook and grimoire, Liber Nephilim. While the grimoire traditions have done much to enlighten the occult community about the various banned books on magic and secret powers, only Liber Nephilim works with the first of the angels to fall. Yet these are spirits that loved humanity, mated with mortal women and gave birth to a new age of magic so long ago. Yet they were omitted from that medieval magical lore, until now. Liber Nephilim is the starting place where these renowned spirits are again engaged as they once were to the magicians of the most ancient times. Now this is already published in America. It's coming out on the 3rd of December in the UK. This is one that I'm probably not going to get myself, but it is one that I think a lot of people could be really interested in. Okay, we now have a book that I was under the impression had already published. And so I am very, very confused about this. So this is called Irish Witches, Magicians and Faeries by Michael Howard. Now, I adore Michael Howard, which is why I was very much under the assumption that this book had already been published. I think I've already spoken about this. Let me know if you've already heard me talk about this book, because I'm very confused. But this is coming out on the 3rd of December in the USA, and it's kind of confusing because for the UK, in some places it says it's already out. In other places, it says it's not releasing until January 2025. I'm confused. I'm going to include it anyway because it is coming out in December for all of my American viewers. This one is the 5th and final book in Michael Howard's Witchcraft in the British Isles series. It examines the history of Irish magic and sorcery and their convergence with the era of witchcraft persecutions. It includes historical personages and actual occult witchcraft practices from over the centuries. This book also examines the historical relationship between fairy lore and folk magical practice, and that was why I was so excited about this the last time I mentioned it, unless I'm just getting massive deja vu and I've never told you about this book before. But anyway, it looks fascinating. I'm definitely adding it to my to be read pile. I'm shocked I don't already have this, actually. Now, I'm going to warn you that the next book is going to be very hard to find, and if you can find it, you might not get it for a very long time, and that's because it is by Daniel Schulke. Now, I have a very big book right there on my bookcase. I'm pointing in, I can see it from here. It is for you, that big green book right there. It's called The Green Mysteries by Daniel Schulke, and it took me a very, very long time to get that book. Three hands press books are typically exceptionally hard to get hold of, and I suspect that this is going to be the same. So I'm going to warn you, if you do want to get this book, be braced that you might not be able to get it super duper easily. But from experience, Daniel Schulke's books have always been very fascinating. So it's a difficult one to weigh up because they're quite expensive, they're quite hard to find, but they are quite interesting. So do with that information what you will. That's just my experience with it. But this is Sabbatic Witchcraft, The Way of Midnight's Eden. And I am going to give you more information on this because that is a very, very vague title. So this is, the figure of the witch in medieval Europe was strongly defined by her relation to the sabbatic and phantasmagoric nocturnal rite where the living trafficked with the dead. Sometimes conflated with the Christian heresy of the Black Mass, the Sabbat is, in fact, a fully realised wellspring of ecstasy and ritual power with roots in prehistory. This sequel to Schulke's Beneficium, which I have in my own collection and is phenomenal, examines the elements of the Sabbat from the nocturnal flight of the witches to the frenzied round dance, to its more notorious features such as the witches' supper and intercourse with the devil. The essential syncretic nature of sabbatic ritual and magic is examined, as well as its relation to Judaism, Christianity and Islam, as well as the polytheistic and animist religions which preceded them, as well as its capacity as a vehicle for individual power and ecstatic experience. The book examines the persistent embodiments of the Sabbat through time, up to and including the modern practice. It's quite wordy. A lot of Daniel Schulke's books are very wordy in nature, so that's something to consider as well. This is coming out on the 3rd of December in both the UK and USA. Why do I feel like I look bright yellow? Yeah, I'm not sure what was going on with that last shot. Anyway, we're just going to keep going, but I look a funny colour, which is probably down to the fact that it is going dark right now. I've been filming for so long it's going dark. So, the next book is another republish, so if you already have this, you might not want to get it again. This is Crafting a Tradition of Witchcraft, Creating Foundations for Your Spiritual Beliefs and Practices by Raven Grimassi. Now, I have already spoken about this last month, so I'm not going to go over this again, but it's essentially a book talking about how you can form your own practice and develop your own craft. This is a republish of a previous work, so do be sure to check your collection to make sure you're not just rebuying the same book again, but this is already out in the USA. It's coming out on the 3rd of December in the UK. We then have another that I believe I've already spoken about. This is The Disciple's Guide to Ritual Magic, a beginner's introduction to the high art by Frate Barbarus. This is also another republication, so do bear that in mind. So this is all about the beginning magician seeking the integral practice of a ritual magician. It presents concepts and insights found in no other book on the subject. The author believes that all magicians seek enlightenment and gnosis, whether they know it or not. This means that the practice of magic must be expanded and broadened so that it is as much a full spiritual discipline and means to gaining gnosis as any other system. It's essentially a beginner's guide to ritual magic. I'm not sure if I already told you when this was coming out, but this is already out in America. It's coming out on the 3rd of December in the UK. We then have one I know I've definitely spoken of before. This is Witches, a Compendium. It's by Judica Illies, and it's coming out on the 3rd of December in the UK. It's already published in the USA. I did speak about that last month though. We then have another by Frate Barbarus. You'll see a lot of repetition here. This is called Mastering the Art of Ritual Magic. It's a sophisticated and yet down-to-earth guidebook for the ritual magician looking to develop a proficiency in their magical practice. Enhance your power like never before. Mastering the Art of Ritual Magic contains 3 volumes that represent a comprehensive approach to developing a personal system of magic. Meant for the practitioner who has some magical experience, this book combines several forms of magic that are extended and joined together to form a unique approach for the solitary and group practice of ritual magic. The volumes are as follows. Volume 1. Foundation. It establishes the basic practices and experiential knowledge required to unlock the knowledge base that is used to formulate and perform this unique approach to ritual magic. Volume 2, a grimoire which introduces the practitioner to the basic set of 9 modular rituals that are used to build up a complete Wiccan or pagan ritual magic regimen. This suite of rituals represents the kinds of magic that an intermediate ritual magician must master to proceed to more advanced work. Volume 3, The Greater Key. It demonstrates how the 9 basic rituals can be developed and customized to become a uniquely personal grimoire of rituals. The key itself is a system of correspondences that a magician builds up with his or her own personalized symbology. Such a key can be used to develop other rituals or unlock entire systems of magic. Of course, there is so much more material in these 3 volumes than what is simply stated here. You are invited to explore these magical systems from Frate Barbarus in this groundbreaking book. Now, I'll be honest, this one actually is curious to me because it very much follows the system that I personally employ, which is build your foundations from the ground up, start developing your correspondences, your understanding of the world. And so yeah, this one looks interesting. This is coming out on the 3rd of December in the USA and January in the UK. Next up, we have a book that I know that I definitely haven't spoken of before. This is called Starlore of the Constellations, The Astronomy, Myth and Symbolism of the Night Sky by Jeffrey Cornelius. Now, this is definitely one for any of you who enjoy the astrology content that I've started doing this past year. So this is described as being discover the mysteries of celestial mythology with this comprehensive introduction to the constellations and the stars that comprise them. This fascinating practical guide unveils the myths, legends, and symbolic significance that the stars have accumulated in many cultures and ancient civilizations around the world. It includes illustrated artwork and detailed star maps, an essential guide for both beginner stargazers and experienced astronomers. Embark on a celestial journey from the Babylonians to Native Americans to ancient Greeks to learn how humans have connected with the cosmos throughout history. No prior knowledge is needed. This book focuses on aspects that can be seen with the naked eye or binoculars. It's also the ideal companion for mobile star viewing apps. All 88 major and minor constellations plus the planets are included. And so, apparently, this one is actually a republication of a book called the Starlore Handbook, so bear that in mind. But this one looks really interesting if you are, say, a beginner to cosmic witchcraft. You want to include more mythology surrounding the astrology that you learn about. I think this one could be really good. It's not necessarily one that I would add into my own collection, but it does look really beautiful. This is coming out on the 3rd of December in the UK and the 17th in the USA. But yeah, definitely an unusual one. We then have a book on divination for any of you who are interested in dipping your toes into the subject. This is Divination, Oracles and Omens, and it doesn't say that there is a writer, like an author, but it does say there's 2 editors. So the editors are Michelle Aroni and David Zeitlin. I believe it's Zeitlin or Zetlin, I'm really sorry. But this book is essentially a guide to 24 divination techniques from around the world. It includes astrology, palmistry, tarot, egg divination, and it covers such a wide range of topics from ancient times to the present day. So if you are someone who is curious about divination techniques but isn't necessarily sure what they feel drawn to, this one could very well be an option for you. We then have astrology and shadow work. Oh, I forgot to tell you, sorry, when the last one was coming out. It's coming out on the 6th of December in the UK and January 2025 for the USA. So sorry, I completely forgot that. We then have astrology and shadow work, self-discovery with your celestial compass by Catherine Gerdes. I'm really sorry, names are not my forte. That's why I try to avoid saying them, because I don't want to completely butcher someone's name. But this one is, as the title describes, all about astrology and shadow work. Dive into the depths of your psyche with the stars as your guide. This book presents a detailed exploration of the 12 astrological signs and their shadow aspects, helping you navigate a unique journey of self-discovery. The author provides practical exercises and prompts designed to uncover and integrate your shadow side. She also shares inspiring stories and case studies of others who have transformed their lives through this work. Astrology and shadow work bridges the gap between your astrological wiring and your practical well-being. With it, you can find opportunities for self-growth through astrological transits, the houses and aspects, nodes, and much more. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned astrologer, an Aries or Aquarius, this book will help you embrace your shadow and claim your authentic power. So I'm not sure if this is going to be as deep as some of you would like to go with shadow work, but as I always say, when it comes to shadow work, I would always recommend doing it alongside some form of assistance or therapy, just to make sure that you aren't digging things up that you aren't then able to process. But this is coming out on the 8th of December in the UK, and apparently I missed this completely. It's already out in the USA. Now, this is one for all of you who enjoy witchcraft and science. Perhaps you enjoy a little bit of brain science. Perhaps you like a little bit of psychology. This is called The Neuroscience of Tarot, from imagery to intuition to prediction. And this looks fascinating. I am going to absolutely butcher the authors' names here, and I am so sorry. We have Mary K. Greer and Siddharth Ramakrishnan. Now, this one really caught my eye because it's quite unusual to find books that cover this topic from the angle that it's coming at, so I just had to talk about it. What happens inside your brain when you look at a tarot card? How do you attribute significance to symbols? In this book, Siddharth Ramakrishnan answers these questions and more as he explores the neuroscience behind intuition and proves that tarot readers aren't just making up their results. Learn how your body and brain work together to process images, attach meaning, and elicit emotional responses, laying the groundwork for prediction. Filled with digestible explanations and dozens of exercises, this full-color illustrated book teaches you what intuition is scientifically and how to enhance it for more accurate readings. The Neuroscience of Tarot brilliantly bridges scientific rigor and mystical intuition. This unique and important book demystifies the complexities of neuroscience, presenting them in a manner accessible to all readers. And I just think that looks phenomenal. There are so many people who are, if anything, defying the stereotype. They are studiers of science, they are doctors, they are psychologists, they are dentists, they are pharmacists. They do very scientific-based jobs, and yet they practice and study witchcraft, divination, and the like. And I mean, I have a background in natural biology, and so I think this book is fascinating and will massively help to, as it says here, bridge this gap, because there's often this stereotype that if you believe in these things, then you are uneducated, or you are daft, or you are stupid, or you are even worse, you are anti-science. And that just simply isn't true for a lot of people. So this one looks so good. This is coming out on the 8th of December in the UK. It's already out in the US. Next, we have one that I spoke about last month. This is Apline Witchery, Austrian Folk Magic, Lore and Spellcraft by Christian Brunner. This is already out in the US and it's coming out on the 8th of December in the UK. Another one that we spoke about last month, this is a republication. This is Cooking with the Kitchen Witch, Magical Recipes from the Hearth by Patricia Telesco. It's already out in the US. It's coming out on the 8th of December in the UK. We then have another that we spoke about last month. As you'll often see, America tends to get its publications first, and so there's a lot of doubling up. So this is Dream Magic, Change Your Reality Through the Liminal World of Sleep by Robin Korak. This is already out in America. It's coming out on the 8th of December in the UK. And then we have this one, which I think a lot of you will enjoy. This is The Words of the Witch, Writing and Speaking Your Magic by Ember Grant. This is coming out on the 8th of December in the USA and January in the UK. Words hold great power. Whether written or spoken, they have always been the most significant way to make magic happen. Ember Grant teaches you how to maximize the power of language through more than 30 practices and projects, from the act and art of speaking to water to writing a spell for health. Grant shares ideas for expanding and strengthening your use of words in magic, including how to use rhyme and rhythm in chants and craft unique spells and rituals. Experiment with different writing methods such as stamping, painting, and engraving. Discover the magic inherent in choosing what to write on: wood, fabric, glass, clay, leaves, and even your body. Whether you want to protect your magic with secret names and codes or delve into the connection between letters and numerology, this book offers essential information and hands-on practices anyone can use. So this one I probably won't end up getting simply because I'm a little stuck in my ways. That probably means I should get it. We'll see, but it does look interesting for anyone who perhaps struggles with words in witchcraft, to give you a little bit of inspiration. Next up, we have one that looks really, really fascinating. This is called The Witch's Wardrobe, Sew Your Own Witch Core Wear. Now, I know that this isn't going to be for everyone, but for me, I've massively and really recently gotten into kind of historical fashion and more unusual clothes, I think. I mean, some people would say what I wear already is kind of weird most of the time, but even more so. And so this one immediately caught my eye. This is by Rachel Henderson. Projects to stitch for the crafty witch, draft and customize your own patterns. Now, I hate patterns. They scare the crap out of me. I've tried using them before. I don't really understand them. They confuse my brain. Create personalized garments that match your unique spirit with this spellbinding sewing guide. Rachel Henderson, author of Sew Witchery, presents 30 projects, such as wraparound pants and fingerless gloves that will bring you closer to the clothing collection of your dreams. She also teaches you step by step how to make custom patterns so your outfits always fit like magic. Explore size-inclusive plans for a variety of pieces, such as petticoats, walking skirts, house jackets, pinafores, capes, waist cinches, bustles, gathering aprons, and more. The witch's wardrobe also includes witchy techniques, which is really what I was hoping to focus on, like colour, knot, glamour, and mending magic, where you can weave it into your projects, embroider prosperity sigils into your pockets, enhance your voice with an infinity scarf, and sew protective button spells into your belt pouch. With hundreds of figures and full colour photographs, this book is filled with inspiration to break out your sewing machine and make garments that excite you. Templates for projects that require tracing patterns are available at the back of the book. Large patterns are also available in PDF format at 100% size for easy printing. And I just think that looks incredible. Like, I'm very much one for saying that the things that we do repeatedly can help us get into a better headspace. So lighting a set fragrance of candle or of incense, wearing certain pieces of clothing can help get you in the headspace for witchcraft. And I think this is a great way of imbuing it into everyday life, which I get asked about so often. So this is coming out on the 8th of December in the USA and in January for the UK. We then have Magick in Your Cup, A Witch's Guide to Sippable Spellcraft by Runa Troy. Quench your thirst for liquid magic with this collection of bewitching brews. So this is definitely one for my kitchen witches out there. Those of you who perhaps enjoy making cocktails or making drinks and want to imbue magic that way, tap into the power of your coffee, cocktails, cocoa, and other cauldron concoctions. With a blend of ancient wisdom and modern mixology, this book serves up stories, spells, and healthful discussion alongside dozens of drink recipes, including cranberry-infused water and cannabis tea. Former bartender Runa Troy invites you to embrace the alchemy of intention, one beverage at a time. She introduces you to the magic inherent in each ingredient and vessel, guiding you to layer these energies for potent elixirs. She also teaches you how to imbue additional properties into each drop with practices like the creation of moon water. This beautiful book empowers you to amplify your potion craft and turn every sip into an enhancing experience. This looks really good, actually. I probably won't end up getting it because I only ever really drink water or hot chocolate. I'm very, very boring and predictable, but this is coming out on the 8th of December in the USA and January for the UK. We have one for my aromatherapy people. This is The Art of Aromatherapy in Magick, A Guide for the Modern Witch by Dree Amandi Pike. Immerse yourself in the potent power of essential oils where scent and spells converge and practical know-how empowers your magical practice. The author, a professional aromatherapist and spiritual counsellor, teaches you how to harness the natural alchemy of plants in a personalised and mystical way. Discover what essential oils are, where to get them, and how to select the right ones for any application. This book, which features a 2-colour designed interior, coaches you through safe, eco-friendly, important, aromatherapy techniques and provides dozens of exercises and recipes to improve your witchcraft. With the help of 55 essential oil profiles, it encourages you to venture beyond lavender's familiar fragrance and guides you through creating bespoke blends for health, spellcraft, meditation, and more. With Dree's expertise, you can skillfully harness aromatic tools to elevate your magical prowess and nurture your spiritual well-being. I do think that books like this are particularly important because the number of people I see using essential oils dangerously is really, really scary. I see it at events, I see it in emails and DMs, I see it on social media. If I see one more person putting pure, undiluted essential oil directly on their skin, I might legitimately scream. I've seen people even do it with orange-based oils, like citrus-based oils, and they can become highly, highly photosensitive. And people will just do it like it's nothing. And honestly, it kind of scares me. So if you are looking into working with essential oils, creating your own essential oil blends, using them especially on your skin, I would recommend going to a trained aromatherapist, getting some information like in the book, and actually being safe with it, because I would hate for anyone to get burns or irritation on their skin because of the essential oils that they are using. So this is coming out on the 8th of December in the USA and January 2025 in the UK. We then have The Power of Ancient Wellness, Traditional Recipes and Activities for Modern Living by Jill Thackeray. Do you want to reduce stress, ease burnout, boost your energy and immunity, but don't know where to start? Look no further than The Power of Ancient Wellness. The ancient world moved to a different rhythm. It was slower, more mindful, and closely attuned to nature. The result? A harmonious connection between mind, body, and spirit. Together with Jill Thackeray, mindfulness teacher, coach, and performance psychologist, learn the art of ancient healing, the perfect remedy for modern living. Featuring over 25 nature-based activities, learn how to improve your sleep, boost your energy, and treat everything from anxiety to the common cold and much more. Explaining the science behind what our our ancestors knew intuitively, this essential companion will help you to create your own holistic toolkit to optimize your health and well-being, as well as overhaul your beauty regimen. Clear your mind with age-old breathwork techniques, restore balance in your body with the life-changing principles of I can never get this in one take. Ayurveda. I can't say that. Ayurveda. I don't like an A and a Y next to one another. Oh, I'm just going to put it on the screen. There you go. Have at it. I can't say that. My brain does not like A's and Y's next to one another. Well, it's fine in like the word say. So would it be whatever. I give up. I give up. And re-energize your soul with Reiki and more. From additional tinctures to ancient superfoods, your healing journey starts now. Reconnect with the hidden secrets of our natural world and take care of yourself the ancient way. This is coming out on December 10th in the UK and the 28th in the US. Now, this is not necessarily associated with the book. I don't want to tie my opinion to the book because I haven't read it. What I do think is really important to bear in mind, though, is that holistic therapy and magic should not replace modern science and medicine. I know we just spoke about the idea that most witches don't denounce science, but there are definitely some out there who do. And I also think it's very important to remember that ancient peoples didn't necessarily have an easier time with it than we do. Let's not forget the Black Death that wiped out most of Europe. You know, just because historically we did things differently does not necessarily mean that we did them better. And so it's important to find a balance between holistics, magic, spirituality, wellness, and seeking out suitable treatment for anxiety disorders, for depression, for physical and psychological ailments. You know, if you are feeling particularly tired and it doesn't seem to matter how much sleep you get, please always make sure that you're getting that checked out medically before just jumping to a more spiritual, mindful approach to it. That is not to say that this book is bad. That's not to say that the author is not knowledgeable. That's not really got anything to do with the book, to be honest, as an individual. It's more just please, please, please be careful to find a balance between the two and not to swing so far one way that you lose things that could be really, really important to your health, both physically and mentally. Next, we have another by Pagan Portals. This is Venezuelan Folklore, Spirits and Legends of the Dead. This is by Alan U. Dalul, and this is releasing on the 10th of December in the UK and January in the US. It is exactly what you would expect. It is about Latin American spirituality, and it's for those who are interested in the oral traditions of Venezuela and those already enjoying folklore and mythology as a whole. So yeah, it could be really interesting if this is your background, if this is where you live or perhaps where your family has lived. It could be really interesting to tap into that, but as aforementioned, it is a Pagan Portals book. It's going to be very small. We then have Crystals and Love, Find Your Soulmate and Unlock the Power of Love by Judy Hall. This is exactly as you would expect. It is a crystal magic book all about love magic. This is already out in the USA. It's coming out on the 17th of December in the UK. We then have one that I'm sure I've already spoken of, and I'm so confused. This is another one of those books where I swear I have already read this to you. I've already talked about it. This is The Craft of Tubal Cain, Traditional Witchcraft and the Legacy of Robert Cochrane. This is by Kenneth Johnson, and it explores the currents of thought that ran counter to the main thrust of the revival of witchcraft in the 1960s. Countercurrents that are growing in importance and influence some 60 years later. During the chaotic but colourful 1960s, witchcraft was reborn as a modern mystical practice. Many are familiar with Wicca, founded by Gerald Gardner, but there was a countercurrent, now known as traditional witchcraft, which saw the art from a very different angle. Its chief thinker was Robert Cochrane, who envisioned witchcraft as a quest for ultimate knowledge and union with the divine. This volume explores his most important ideas, especially the way in which he re-envisioned ancient mythology, putting a new spin on old deities as well as on historical figures such as Robin Hood and King King Arthur and naming Tubal-Cain, whom the Bible calls the first blacksmith, as his avatar of knowledge, both sacred and profane. Though he wrote very little and died young, Cochrane left enough material behind for us to reconstruct the steps by which he urged each aspiring witch to take a crooked path to complete gnosis. Now, for anyone who has read books by Gemma Gary, by Keldon, you will see echoes of this kind of going through the work. Traditional witchcraft is primarily where I find my interests lying. I initially began my practice within Wicca because it was what I believed you had to do. It was the only information that I had. And then slowly but surely it kind of started shifting. So this one looks really, really interesting to me. This is coming out in the USA on December 17th and January 2025 in the UK. Though I'm so confused. I'm sure that I have seen this book before, unless it was... actually, thinking about it, I stock occult books on my website, and what it might be is it might have been a pre-order so that I could stock them as a retailer. I think that might have been what it was. By the way, if anyone is interested, a little tiny bit of self-plug here. If you are in the UK and you would like to have a look at some witchy books, some tarot decks, and you know that they are real from the publishers and they are not kind of fake copies because they're becoming really, really hard to avoid now, feel free to check out my website. We sell witchcraft supplies and we ship them around the UK. Okay, self-plug over because I never really mention it, but there we go. The next book we have is The Green Witch Illustrated. Now, we did speak about this last month. This is an enchanting immersion into the magic of natural witchcraft. This is by Aaron Murphy Hiscock, and it is a progression from the Green Witch series. I did speak about this though at the end of last month's video, so if you do want to check that out, I will leave it linked up here. This is already out in the US. It's coming out on the 19th of December in the UK. We then have another that I did speak about last month, so I'm not going to go into it too much here. This is the Poison Path Grimoire, Dark Herbalism, Poison Magic, and Baneful Allies by Kobe Michael. This one looks phenomenal. I thought it looked amazing last month, still looks amazing this month. This is actually the second book in a series though, so if you would like, I would recommend checking out the first one first. This is already out in America. It's coming out on the 19th of December in the UK. We then have Ancient Goddess Magick, Invoking the Queens of the Heavens by Vanessa Lavallee. I'm saying that wrong. We then have Ancient Goddess Magick, Invoking the Queens of the Heavens by Vanessa Lavallee. Definitely saying that wrong, I'm so sorry. Connect with the celestial powers of ancient goddesses, explores beliefs and myths from Mesopotamia, ancient Egypt, and around the Mediterranean, revealing how ancient goddesses were powerful queens of the heavens and guardians of the underworld, not simply passive symbols for fertility. Look at the creator goddesses, sun goddesses, lunar goddesses, warrior maiden goddesses, and night goddesses, including modern adaptations of ancient goddess magic rituals and instructions for creating divine amulets, figurines, and stones blessed with the goddesses' powers. In the most ancient cultures of our world, goddesses were seen not as passive fertility symbols, but as powerful, active queens of the heavens who protected cities, guided the dead and dying, and oversaw all forms of rebirth and transformation. Sharing her years of research and personal exploration, Vanessa Lavallee presents the animistic beliefs of our long-forgotten ancestors and shows how the queens of the heavens still have a vital role to play in modern spirituality. There is a lot more to this information. I would recommend reading it for yourself if you are interested, because it's lengthy. It covers a whole lot of information, and this one could be really interesting for people who do want to connect with goddesses on a deeper level than we do see today, because let's face it, now goddesses are literally primarily seen as being nothing more than fertility figures unless you deep dive into their mythology. This is apparently already out in America and I just completely missed it. This is, however, coming out on the 19th of December in the UK. We then have another book on divination. This is The Fool's Guide to Tarot, a no-nonsense guide to tarot reading and understanding tarot card meanings by Mystic Rain. Now this is, as you would expect, a book on how to read tarot cards. It's already out in America. It's coming out on the 26th of December in the UK. Now when it comes to these books, I would say once you found one that you really like, you're probably going to stick to it. So I wouldn't necessarily say that you need 15 books on tarot. I'd say get one really decent book on the subject, and once you've got one good book, you can then build on that with your own understanding and practice. That was it, straight at the end. I thought I had a lot more than that. I'm actually quite surprised. So that is all of the books that I could find that are releasing in December 2024. I'm sure there's definitely more out there. I have a tendency to miss quite a lot that come out because they're dotted here, there, and everywhere, but these ones look particularly interesting this month. I'm trying to think of which ones I think stand out the most to me. The Poison Path Grimoire is one that definitely stands out. That one looks fascinating to me. The Craft of Tubal Cain is another. I'm just scrolling up through my giant list to see what else looks particularly good. Oh, The Witch's Wardrobe looks interesting to me as well. Probably less practical for me because I'm not a very prolific sewer, but I'll try. Oh, The Neuroscience of Tarot looks absolutely fascinating. What else have we got in here that looks good? Ritual Magic by Frata Barbarous looks good. Oh, there's so many. It's kind of hard to choose. Sabbatic Witchcraft by Daniel Schulke looks interesting. Irish Witches, Magicians and Faeries. Oh my goodness, there's just so many that look so good. Possessed by the Devil. Oh, and then, of course, Hedge Witch by Rachel Patterson. There's so much. I genuinely can't pick what I'm probably most interested in. Actually, if I had to force myself to choose, I think it's probably going to be the Hedge Witch one, simply because there's not enough books on this subject. But I would love to know which book in this list you think sounds the most interesting. Let me know in the comment section. If you've got this far, feel free to put some book emojis down there, and I'm going to try and heart as many different comments with book emojis in it as I can. I'll see how many I can get to. And yeah, let me know what you're currently reading as well. I would love to know. My to be read pile is already absolutely huge. It's definitely going to get bigger. If you do enjoy this video, feel free to give it a like. It means a lot to me. And if you enjoy the magical content on this channel or in this video, feel free to hit subscribe. I try to post magical content every single week, and I've got a few new things coming in January. Very excited about those. Hopefully they go down well. So if you want to check those out, feel free to subscribe and hit the bell notification thing. And if it works, you'll be notified when I go live and when I post a video. So for any of you who miss when I go live, having notifications on might help. Emphasis on might. So with that being said, thank you for being with me for the last, I'm not sure how long this will have been, 45 minutes maybe. Thank you so much for all of your support. It means a lot to me. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you have a marvelous magical day. If you are a Patreon member, you may well spy your name on the end screen in just a moment, and I will see you in the next video. Okay, bye.